Hi, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of Over 50 and Flourishing. Interesting title for a podcast considering this season of life that I'm in. Most of you most likely know that my mother passed away on July 18th of 2023. So this podcast is being taped only a few weeks after her passing. It is the first broadcast episode of any form that I have done since her passing. And I thought it would be probably best to start with a podcast over a YouTube video. But I just want you to know that I am also working on a YouTube video that is more of a vlog style, which will be out on Thursday. The purpose of that video is to show the grief process. So grieving and flourishing, how do these work in tandem? Flourishing to me is the ability to get through life and to do it better, to do it from a point of wisdom, a point of perspective, a point of understanding and thriving. Some might think that grieving is actually a setback, that it is the inability to flourish, the inability to move forward, to make progress. And what I'm learning through the grieving progress is that there is actual flourishing in the grieving. I've listened to a lot of podcasts, I've been reading, I have been journaling, and doing all the things that many people around me who've gone through loss, and many of you have encouraged me to do. And that is the reminder that you don't get over a loss, you get through it. And grief is a process of mobility and moving forward. And how do you do that? You do that with the acceptance of what is. So what I've had to do is accept the what is. I've had to accept the feelings that come from the what is. And as you know, the loss of a parent, and in my particular case, the loss of a parent that I was so close to. As you've witnessed on this platform and my YouTube platforms, my mother and I had a very special and unique bond. We were mother and daughter. We were best friends. We talked to each other every single day. It's not to say we didn't have our hiccups and our issues and disagreements and moments of turbulence. Every parent-child relationship has that. But what we had was this extraordinary sense of this desire to always see it through, to always end the day on a positive note and with a laugh and with an I love you. And I am so grateful for the mom that I had and that I feel I still have, because now she lives on through me. And there have been some incredible moments and experiences that I've had since her passing where I truly feel her presence. I hear her voice. I feel her guidance, and it is as strong and as powerful as if she were just 2 blocks away. So back to grieving and what that looks like. It's allowing yourself to feel. It's allowing the tears to flow. It's allowing the pain to come in and not to bury. It's not trying to motor through something. But it's also not denying yourself opportunities to be with people who lift you, who bring laughter and levity into your life, and not feeling guilty for that. And I have to say, there have been some unusual moments where I've been with friends and they've gotten me out of my apartment and we've done some things and, we've laughed and for a moment I didn't think about my mom, and I caught myself and almost felt wrong for that. And then I thought, no, that's not healthy and that's not right either. There are no shoulds or shouldn'ts in the grief process. There just is. And I've been reminded by many friends that you're going to go through that. You're going to go through strange moments where you'll be in the middle of something and then you'll be hit like a tidal wave of a memory or a flood of emotion, and it just seems to come out of nowhere. And then you'll be in the middle of just doing you and living life, and you will not think of her. And then that's going to seem wrong and off. So grief is a very unusual and strange and odd emotion that we don't welcome, but we must. I can't say it's my first rodeo. I went through this with my dad. But although every situation and every parent is different, grief still presents, and it presents in similar ways. I think my relationship with my father was different than my mom's. I didn't so much get from my dad what I really needed in that relationship. So the grieving process for me, even though we healed, and I've talked a lot about that on my platform, the grieving process for me with my father was not only the loss of a physical presence, but it was also the loss of something that I never would fully receive from a father to a daughter, which is that kind of love that I always wish I had. I was able to retrieve it and cultivate it later in life, and I'm so grateful for that. But the grieving process felt very different. My father's passing was also slower. He had cancer. There was a process to it. There was an understanding of what that process would look like. In Mom's case, it was very sudden. For those of you who don't know, she was out to dinner with friends on a Thursday night with a gentleman who had been in her life off and on for about 5 years, somebody she actually met on Match.com. So kudos to Mom for still being at it in her 80s and still pursuing love in life. And, he's a wonderful man who accompanied her to dinner along with a lovely woman who I had met about 6 months ago at a local restaurant. And we started talking, and I said, you and my mother have to connect. You two are like peas in a pod, and I know you're going to hit it off. And I gave her my mother's telephone number. She was shocked that I did it, but I did, and they connected, and they became instant best friends. So it's a Thursday night, and they're out to dinner down the road here at a local steakhouse, having the time of their lives. My mom's dressed to the nines. They're enjoying steak. She's on her either second or third glass of Prosecco, laughing and living it up, when out of nowhere, a major cardiac event hits her. And what followed was a series of events and days that, I will never forget. Very painful things to have to watch and go through. But I have a feeling my mother didn't want to leave this earth without her daughter there. So I'm a believer that what did transpire in those days and efforts to try to save her, which were futile, she had her daughter. She had her daughter present. And I was able to, in the process of helping her to let go and transition, tell her and speak to her words of affirmation, words of love and kindness, and a reminder of what an amazing woman she is, what an amazing mom she is, how loved she is by me and by so many, and that it's okay, that I've got this, I've got it, and you don't have to worry, and you can let go. And I just pressed my face against hers and talked into her ear nonstop and held her hand the whole time. And even though she couldn't respond and there was no response, doctors and nurses all along said, they can hear. And I know she heard me, and I know she processed everything that I said, because during that time and in the hour or so that passed, I could see her face relaxing, and I could see a letting go. And I think it's something that we both needed for each other, because it might have been too difficult having lost my mom without being there. So as hard as all of that was to process, I was there. And I was grateful for that. Anyway, so, as I sit here and I think about and reflect on all that's taken place, I need to share a couple of things that have been really critical and important for me in healing. Number one, I've been surrounded by the most incredible support system and friend group I could ever imagine or ask for. I don't know what I would have done without these people in my life, these men and women who have stepped up like sisters and brothers to me and have been here in a way that is, I guess, almost indescribable. As an only child especially, it's not something I'm accustomed to. But now I feel like I have this much larger family than I had. And it's like a warm blanket around my shoulders, and it's wonderful. And you know, many of these people in my life, you have seen them on this platform and on YouTube. And I am so blessed to call them friends. So, so blessed. I am journaling a lot. I find that process to be incredibly helpful and cathartic. I think writing down detail of feelings and events is just the beautiful, beautiful binder to history, because we oftentimes forget the rich detail, whether good, bad, or indifferent. We forget the detail. And I just want to make sure that I document it, because I don't want to forget the detail. I don't want to forget the grit that is in all of it and the good that is in all of it. So that has been very helpful for me to do, as well as spending time outdoors, listening to music, talking to people. If you saw my very first podcast, my guest was Peter Remington, who's a life coach, and we've had a session together, and we will continue to do that. And I am also searching for a therapist to help me process all of this as well, because and you just saw a lovely one on my podcast, Liz Seitz, but she's a dear friend, and so I don't want to lose a friendship in the name of using her as a therapist. So she's contacted me with somebody, and I am in the process of pursuing that, because I think it's important to get out some thoughts and feelings and things. And as you know, this has been an incredibly challenging past couple of years for me. I've been through a lot. I've had to process a lot. Some of it has been good, but a lot of it has been really painful and brutal. So, I am not one of those people who is afraid to say, I need some help. I need some guidance. I need to make sure that I am properly emotionally unpacking things so that I can move forward in a healthy way, so that I can flourish in all ways of my life and every way, which leads me to something that I wrote about in my newsletter. For those of you who subscribe to it, thank you, first of all. But at the end of my newsletter, I wrote, "What would Audrey do?" And I kind of coined it as a new acronym, WWAD. What would Audrey do? If I ever find myself in doubt or wondering how to move forward, how to proceed, what would Audrey do? And I could tell you for sure, she would move forward. And it's not to say she would deny emotion, but she most certainly wouldn't be throwing herself a pity party. As I joked, that is not the kind of party she'd want to crash. It's not the kind of party she'd want her daughter to throw for herself. So as I re-immerse into this world of mine, I know that for me, what's healthy in processing and moving forward is structure, is the continuum of what it is that gives me purpose and gives me joy. And that is this. It's a big part of it. It's not all of it, but it's a big part of it. And I want to emerge in a way that is honoring of what it is that I've been through, honoring of her memory, honoring the loss, honoring the process. So as I come back to this platform and discuss this, I also want to share with you in a very, very deep and vulnerable way what the process has looked like. And that's been something that I've been capturing on video, because I know I'm not the only one going through this. I know that you have gone through this. I know that many of you may be going through this right now. And if my thoughts and my vulnerability and my sharing and just being raw about it helps you, helps somebody in any way, then I feel like I have done what it is that I need to do. And that is just the gift in the power of sharing. And I have seen it time and time again over the almost 10 years of being on YouTube and now on this platform, is the incredible power of community and not feeling alone in the sharing. And so that's why I'm here. And it's why I am slowly returning to work, because I need it too. I need to give, because that's what fuels me, and it's what gives me purpose, and it's what gives me connection. And so I am, honestly, I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful to be able to talk about my mother, who is the most amazing mom and woman. And I'm just really, really, really just grateful that I had, 87 years on this earth, just full of life, full of energy, full of personality, full of wonderment. She was an amazing human, and I get to call her mine. So I'm so happy about that, and so proud to be her daughter. At this time, I really would like to share with you some things that have come my way. You all have absolutely amazed me with your messages and your outpouring of love. And I really just want to take a moment to thank you. And maybe in the words that I read to you now, you can find yourself, you can connect to it, and you can feel a sense of relief that you too are not alone, or that if you ever need this kind of comfort, it is here for you. So this one comes in from Claire. She says, "Hi, Dominique. I just read your email and the evident emotional roller coaster and grief that you're processing. It has brought back the memory of the loss of my own father some 18 years ago. As with your beautiful mom, Audrey, the loss was sudden, unexpected, and cataclysmic. I remember it so clearly that I can tell you it was also a Thursday. I had visited him at our family home where my mom and dad still lived after my brothers and I had left home several years previously to live our independent lives. Dad suffered from Alzheimer's, and there were good days and bad days. This Thursday had been a good day. My last memory of him is waving me off as I drove away, standing at the gate with his huge, happy smile on his face. The news came that evening from my mom that he had gone upstairs, collapsed suddenly on the landing, and died from a massive heart attack shortly afterwards. 18 years on, and I still miss his voice, his smile, his intelligence, kindness, and compassion massively. I'm so grateful that I was lucky enough to have had him in my life at all, let alone as my dad. I've loved watching your videos, learning and being inspired by them. Your mom was a revelation, and you are like her in so many ways. The energy, enthusiasm, and positivity you bring to the world and all who you encounter, whether in person or via technology, is commendable, incredibly valued, and loved by so many of us. I understand how painful this time is for you. Please take your time to process the emotions that you're experiencing. It is not a short process. It is an ever-evolving one, as you already know. We will be here as and when you are ready to come back to us. Be sure to put yourself first and try to put the enduring pressures of life in second place until you're ready and strong enough to do otherwise. Sending love, light, and heartfelt condolences from here in the UK. Here's to Audrey, a shining example of a life well lived and a gift to the rest of us as we negotiate our own. Lots of love, Claire." Thank you, Claire. That was very powerful. Here's another. "Dominique, no words can express the grief that you and everyone shares with you. I am so very sorry to hear about your beautiful mom's passing. My thoughts and prayers are with you through this extremely difficult time. Before moving here to Spring, the Woodlands, a year and a half ago after the passing of my husband, I followed your YouTube and I also purchased your book. Couldn't be happier now and even have a boyfriend. Life goes on even in difficult times. So happy to hear that you have such wonderful friends to help you through this sad time. Know that you are loved by all. Sandra." Thank you, Sandra. "Dear Dominique, what a beautifully written email. You will deal with your grief in your own and best way possible. You're exceptionally lucky to have such dear friends close by to help you during this emotional tornado of a time. I too am an only child, and I lost my mother in 2015. I was in the process of moving from Los Angeles to France, and she was in South Africa. I had not seen her for a year and was due to visit her a few weeks later. The shock was so hard. With time, it becomes easier. I realize that you do not know me at all, but I'm hoping that you might read this and take me up on my offer. My husband and I live in Vence on the Côte d'Azur. When you are ready, please feel free to come and visit and stay with us a few days. There's nothing better for our emotional state than a holiday, a complete change of scenery, country, food, and faces. As they say in France, bon courage. Nadia. Dominique, huge hugs and many prayers for your tender heart during this difficult time. To lose your mom so soon as you were just getting things together after so much loss and transition is tough. However, we know our faith in God and His resurrection power assures us that we will see her again in glory. Thank you for sharing your precious mom with us. She left us such a gift when she gave us you. God bless you with comfort and peace. Thank you. This is from Barbara from Dallas. She says, I'm so sorry for the loss of your mother. She was our mother as well because we all loved seeing her. So beautiful. My thoughts and prayers are with you and your son. And here's the last one that I'll read. My dear, dear Dominique, I've been following you for many years now, and I've grown attached to you and your sweet mother. My most sincere sympathy for your loss. Somehow, it's a funny feeling I felt when I read your email last night. It's like I lost someone too. I was so shocked that I could not write to you immediately. It must be very hard for you being an only child and having been so close to your mother. I will pray for you, and I'm sure Audrey will help you too from above. Take care of yourself. Love, Francine from Quebec, Canada. And this one is from Liz. Dominique, as an only child myself, I know how hard it is to lose a parent. I am so glad that Holly, your best friend and soul sister, was there to comfort you during the days that your mom was in the hospital and at her passing. I was alone when I put my father in hospice and when he passed away, and it made it extremely difficult time that much harder. Please know that with time, lots of time, the grief will eventually subside. However, given yours and Audrey's special relationship, it will always linger, and that's a good thing, for you loved your mother well, and she you. As a fellow woman of faith, I want to remind you that God ordained all of Audrey's days from the moment she was born. And while her sudden passing gave you no time to prepare your heart, it gives you the chance to remember Audrey as she would have wanted when she was still very vibrant and young at heart. I wanted to share with you the scripture verse that I asked to be read at my father's memorial service. I hope it brings you peace and reminds you that you are never alone. It's from Ephesians. And I pray that you, being rooted and established in love, may have power, together with all of the Lord's holy people, to grasp how wide and long and high and deep is the love of Christ, and know this love that surpasses knowledge, that you may be filled to the measure of all the fullness of God. Thank you, Liz. That's beautiful. And thanks to all of you just for your emails, messages, notes, desire to communicate and reach out to me. It fills me in a way that really cannot be described. There is so much gratitude that pours out of me and floods to you just for being here, just for being my community, because we're all here because we want to flourish. We want to flourish in this time of our lives, and we want to do that together. And we want to come up with answers and solutions together. And flourishing even means getting through the hard times and doing so with grace and with dignity. And so I thank you for joining me for today's Over 50 and Flourishing. I thank you for welcoming me back. And I look forward to many, many more episodes and moments and days to come. Till next time.